Welcome to Expat Hoops, a podcast where we talk to Americans who played basketball in other countries about their college careers here and playing career there. I'm Tony Budney alongside Andy Hoverman. Today on the pod, we talk to Washington, D.C.'s own Devin Sweetney. He attended St. Francis University in Loretto, PA from 2006 to 2010, where he made first team All Northeast Conference his senior year. He began his now decade-long pro career as a professional with Hamar in Iceland, where you may remember from our talks with Fallon Stevens. His career has taken him to 15 countries all over Europe, to Venezuela and Mexico, and to Canada, where he won the NBL Canada MVP Award in 2013. We are pleased to have Devin on Expat Hoops. Devin, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Tony. I appreciate the opportunity to sit here and talk sports with you fine people.
Oh, we're happy to have you, and we definitely lean in hard to our DC area connections here. So we'll start there. You grew up in Southeast, went to school at Riverdale Baptist in Largo. Talk about the days that you would go through the trip each day. It was PG County is kind of hard, in terms of public transportation. So yeah, I think that you really probably need to talk about that to our listeners about really a grind in and of itself, what that was.
Yeah, it was definitely a grind, because especially when I was in high school and we were coming up, and now it's probably, public school basketball was like really good, really, really competitive. And but a lot of times, private schools have, obviously a wider scale of exposure and winning traditions. So my mom, she transferred me to Riverdale Baptist my junior year under the helm of Coach Lou Wilson, who I'm forever extremely grateful. Was one of the best high school coaches to come out to coach in the Washington D.C. area. And it was a tough adjustment for me, coming from public school to go to private school. And I was still living in Washington D.C. and still had to wake up early in the morning while my mom was working 2-3 jobs, and I had to catch a train, catch a bus to get picked up by the Riverdale bus, and then finally get to school. And I think at an early age, it just developed that extra drive and that extra motivation for me to want to make something of myself, because my classmates at Riverdale, they were driving to school, and their parents kind of had some money and good jobs and stuff like that. So I was on scholarship, so I had to make every bit count. I really did. Every time I stepped into the classroom, every time I stepped into the court, I had to really make it count. And I'm forever grateful for Coach Lou Wilson and him giving me the opportunity to make something of myself and get a really good education at a private institute to further along go to college and do the same thing.
Did you play hoops around here with anybody in high school that is noteworthy that you can think of?
Yeah, I mean, I played with everybody because I always played on the best AAU teams. I was Team Maryland, and I was, DC Blue Devils, and you got, the Roy Hibberts and the James Gist and the Kevin Durant's and the Taiwan Lawsons and the Isaiah Swans, and those guys, who really, were national exposure. And then Curtis Malone, and then when I went to Riverdale Baptist, my junior year, I had transferred and I went to DC Assault with Curtis Malone. And on my team, it was like, Renze Anaku, Jeff Green, Dante Cunningham. We had Dwayne Anderson. We had some guys that, really made a name for themselves as well. And then my senior year, Mike Beasley and Nolan Smith transferred to Riverdale, where we were 33-1 national champions. So I was fortunate enough to play with some guys.
You played with some guys, yeah, you sure did. Actually,
I wonder whatever happened to some of those guys.
Well, they made a lot of money.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Actually, it's funny you mentioned Renze Onuaku. I forgot he was around here. I actually thought about him the other day because I met another Renze, which was literally the second Renze I'd ever heard of after Onuaku.
Wow, what are the chances?
Yeah, what are the chances, right?
Yeah,
I just thought about that.
Yeah, Renze, he's one of my best friends. That was actually my roommate when we did all the assault trips and we went out of town. It was always me and Big Renze. And still to this day, we're still super close. We still train together. We recently had the same agent and he's doing well as well. He's building his brand, and I'm very, very happy for him as well.
I also feel like that Syracuse team he was on, if he wouldn't have gotten injured in the NCAA
Oh
tournament, it
man,
would have gone a little further. So it's one of
yeah,
my favorite teams that hasn't won an NCAA tournament that I watched.
yeah.
So
We talk about that all the time, and even for him, he would have been drafted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, lead the nation in field goal percentage, and had he made his free throws, he did he did a lot more, better what it was. But he's had a chance to play a 4 or 5 NBA teams, so he can't complain. At the end of the day.
Yeah, and actually, one of the things I was listening to another podcast when I was doing some of the research, talking about Mike Beasley,
Oh
and
man.
talking about comparing him at that time to Kevin Durant. If you wouldn't mind going kind of revisiting that and telling our listeners about kind of what your take on them at that time was, about Mike versus Kevin and sort of the opportunities that they've
Well,
had since.
see, the thing is, Kevin always had the smooth finesse game and the skill set. But when Kevin hit that growth spurt from at National Christian from 6'3" to 6'7", he really took off. You know what I mean? But in terms of just a natural feel for the game, I mean, Mike he just was it. He just was it. I mean, when we played at Riverdale, Mike could have. They were saying Mike was good enough to enter the draft that year as a sophomore. I mean, he was big, he was strong, he was left-handed, ambidextrous. He just had that dog in him. He was a talker, like, you know what I mean? Like, he gonna tell you what he's gonna do, and he's gonna do it to you, and that's was that. But the one thing about Mike, I would say, he was extremely, extremely unselfish, man. He was such a good teammate, you know what I mean? Just and always, trying to help guys and all right, y'all, let's go. Let's work. We going hard today. Like, he was one of those, and he won't get the credit that he deserves, just due to the image that's already, been tainted over him. But that's one thing people don't know about him is just he's such an unselfish guy, and he's all about team and winning.
Yeah, one of the things, well, there's two things actually I want to bring up. Number one, you brought about how he's a talker. We'll revisit the trash talk segment a little bit later on. But number two, one of the things that any Mason fan that was watching at that point in time, when he was at Kansas State, you just knew. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's if you only had seen him in college, you should have known from that point. But obviously,
Man.
like you're saying, much really good from an earlier point than that. But that's another thing that we'll get to. Tony, I don't know if you wanted to ask him something about St. Francis, but we'll go there before we get to the trash talk segment.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
wanted you to go through a little bit of your playing career at St. Francis. Your best year, your senior year, you averaged about 14 points a game, 7 rebounds, 1.7 assists during your 4-year career there. Tell us about St. Francis, your experience there, and how you enjoyed playing there.
Well, St. Francis was my very first offer, Division I offer. Coach Bobby Jones, he and salute to Bobby Jones and shout out to him if he's listening. But he followed me everywhere that junior year, and he said I was his guy. And he was like, "Hey, Devin, I believe in your abilities. I think this would be a great fit for you. I definitely think this can be somewhere where you can grow and mature as a man, not be too far away from home." And I'm thankful for the opportunity. But by the end of my senior year, I mean, we had got so good with at Riverdale Baptist, we had got so much exposure. Everybody was like, recruiting me late, to do prep school. And besides like Duke and Carolina and the Kansas and the Kentuckys of the world, I was getting mail from everybody. And I'm just happy I kept with my commitment and my loyalty to St. Francis, because they gave me a chance to be myself, and they allowed me to I made every kid goes to school and they mess up and they make their mistakes, and they allowed me to really be who I am. And I'm forever thankful and grateful for that. We didn't win too many games my first couple years, but we really kind of figured it out senior year, and we made a push for it. So I'm happy I left my impact on that campus, and that campus left a major impact on me too.
I was going to say that I think that you're saying that in another interview that you actually started your master's, I think during
Yeah,
your senior eligibility year.
yeah. See,
Um,
what happened was St. Francis had gotten my transcripts just a tad, my official transcripts just a tad bit too late, and I had officially qualified, well, unofficially qualified, but it just hadn't gone through the clearinghouse yet, and so the clearinghouse just was like, well, listen, we're not going to prop 48 you, we're going to give you a, we're going to make you partially eligible so you can practice with the team, but during the games you can't sit on the bench and you can't travel, and you'll get your extra year of eligibility. So it kind of worked out because I went to school at 17 years old, so it was just a year for me to mature, get a little stronger in the weight room, get more acclimated, to college life, and it worked. It worked in my favor. It worked in my favor because everyone was trying to push me to prep school, anyway, because I was so young. So there was my prep year on the college campus. So it kind of worked out for me. I grew up a lot in that season.
hmm. Um, Also, the other thing I think for St. Francis is it seems like you pretty much got to play. I mean, obviously, maybe not right away because you had that transition year, but you got to play almost right away,
Yeah,
right?
that's what they told me. They said, listen, you're probably one of the biggest recruits we've had. And, I'm gonna put the ball in your hands, from out the gate, because I believe in you. And I definitely think you can play. So I didn't want to go to a big school where I have to wait till my junior year to get on the floor. And my mom was one of the biggest, because I was like, Mom, I don't know, like, it's late. I got all these Big Ten schools and these ACC schools coming in late. I don't know. I might want to back out of my commitment with St. Francis. And she said, no, no. They never once questioned your abilities. It's a great school. It's a very private institute. You want to go for business. I mean, they have a waiting list for their business school. It's 2.5 hours away. No, we stick with our word, and you don't do that. And that was a good lesson that I learned. And I'm glad I never, made that decision.
Well, speaking of commitments, you went through your senior year where you were highly successful. Um, start us with how you decided first where you were going to go professionally. You ended up as going to an NBA team with their preseason and to camps and all that stuff before you ended up going overseas. So tell us a little bit about the transition from your time at St. Francis to your professional career.
Well, I mean, obviously that was the goal for that was a goal for me to, just I knew once I averaged 16 points my junior year, I was like, okay, I can get me a job overseas. Like that was all I was really kind of focusing on. But we didn't win many games and we didn't have too many TV games. So I never really thought the NBA was realistic. If that I knew I wanted to go there ultimately, but just from a small D1 school that doesn't win much, I mean, it just wasn't too many guys that were in the league at that time. Now more so, yes, but and then I didn't know that I had one of the highest per 48s in the country my senior year, just on just on efficiency. So a lot of NBA agents contacting me, and I was just like, whoa, like this thing is kind of happening. And I was fortunate enough to get 2 pre-draft workouts with the Washington Wizards, and I was very, very close to I was the last cut for the summer league team. And yeah, I was, and then I pushed to the D League, got drafted, and I just got drafted to the wrong team. And then I'm back home and I'm like, wow, how do I go from almost being a step foot out of the NBA to now I'm home with no jobs overseas? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, how does this happen? It was just all these, I guess it was all this doubt, and I was just like, I'm just going to get in the gym and I'm just going to work until I get a call. And that call was Iceland. At first I was just like, whoa, where is this? But, I went out there and, played 6 games, averaged 30 points, and got a Euro challenge got a Euro Challenge offer late February from a team in Latvia, which was a very high level, and the rest is history.
So one of the things is like you've obviously know a lot of people that are in the area, have a little bit of family connections as well to
Right.
the pro basketball arena. So do you think that helped you at all in terms of by nature of where you're from, that you know other people that have probably gone the professional route, not only through friends or for family? Do you think that also helped you navigate the process a little easier
Oh,
or
yeah. I think it definitely because my cousin Mike Sweetney had already, cracked the barrier and was already one of the best true big men to ever come out this area, hands down. And for him, just his accomplishments at Georgetown and him being a number 9 pick in the draft in the memorable 2003 draft with LeBron and Melo and Wade and Bosh and all those guys. Like,
we'll do that
I think,
again? Where I wonder whatever happened to those guys.
yeah, I don't know. I think they just like fell off the face of her. I don't know. But so I think it was kind of like, oh, Sweetney, I'm kind of familiar. I'm kind of familiar with that name. Are they brothers? Oh no, that's his little cousin. Oh, okay. I think that kind of, you know what I mean. I think it was just, kind of like right place, right time, and the fact that Mike already paved the way. I think people was more reluctant to give me opportunities and stuff like that, which all ultimately is all God's plan, and it's all the universe coming full circle.
Yeah, something we get into sometimes with our guests, and we've talked about this before, and I always find it noteworthy that outside of the initial NBA process, for lack of a better word, how normal it is. Like, you got your resume, you got some connections, you got family as you do, and all of those things add up and get your foot in the door somewhere.
Yeah, but I mean I think that's beyond basketball. That's just the world we live in.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about who you know.
And
And a lot of times at the highest level when it comes to sports, a lot of that stuff doesn't have nothing to do with basketball. It's just more so people just being loyal to their guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what it is, because got to think, man, at the NBA level, and everybody can run, jump, dunk, shoot, pass, it's athletic, everybody's good. I mean, then who stays and who goes, who knows who makes those decisions. But I mean, being a good person, number one, matters. Having a good reputation matters. The people that represent you and their reputation matters, and it's all about maximizing your network. You know, Everywhere I go, I try to leave a good impression on whatever I do. If it's a podcast, or if I go overseas, I make sure, I'm a fan favorite, or I'm always polite to the organization, and they never have any problems out of me, and I feel like that goes a long way, especially in sports.
absolutely. I mean, some of this probably is also that it's an element of like customer service, exactly like what you're saying about being a fan favorite and interacting with people. So that certainly goes a long way. One of the things we were talking a little bit before we got started was that coincidentally, one of our first guests actually started off in the very same place, Hamar in Iceland. Any recommendations in terms of sites that you saw or things that you did while you were there?
Yeah, I tell the story all the time, and a lot of people think I'm like playing the Blue Lagoon. Like, that was supposed to be. See, this is before Instagram. This is before, like, it was. I think I had a BlackBerry. Like, I don't even think we had FaceTime in 2010. Like, it was Skype. It was Skype calls and like Yahoo Messenger video chat. Like that.
For our Zoomer listeners, the BlackBerry had actual keys on it, like a keyboard. Just
Actual.
FYI.
It did. It really did. And so my teammates, we had an off day, and they like, come on, we have to go to the Blue Lagoon. So I'm like, what's the Blue Lagoon? They said, yeah, it's a lake, it's outside, it's a pool, it's outside, and it's heated. So at first I'm like, do you see what it is? It's a snowstorm outside. Why would I go put swimming trunks on and sit in a pool outside? That makes no sense to me. Like, absolutely no sense. So the very first couple of weeks I got there, I ducked it. And then I got in trouble because I had to run because I didn't, because I didn't go to the Blue Lagoon. So after me running those 2 times, I was just like, okay, I'm just going to go. And it was amazing. It was nothing short of amazing. And now you look up and you see, Instagram and all these different social sites, and that's all you see. People go to the Iceland. That's what the first thing they go get on the Blue Lagoon, take their pictures, go to the ice museum. And I'm just sitting there like, man, this was recreation. And I wish I would have took pictures too, but I didn't take anything.
Now you actually weren't in Hamar for very long. I think it was 7 games where I think we were talking earlier, but I think you said you basically 30 points a game. So what was behind the short stay there? Was it that you came in the late aspect after the D League, or was it that you got a better offer to go along to your next spot?
Well, I my agent at the time was Jamie Knox and Andre Buck, and it was December. And I had just been released from, the D League. I passed up some European offers early to, push the NBA and chase it. And it was January. January had hit, and I hadn't played a professional game yet. And here we go. Their guys have been there August, September, October, November. So I'm behind the 8 ball. I needed to make some money, So they was like, hey, Devin, there's an opportunity. I just need you just to go play well. And I don't think he thought I was going to go average 30 points, because at this point I'm like, man, I'm frustrated. Like, whoever I play against, man, I'm going extra hard. So I went over there, and I was supposed to last another 2 months, but I played so well, I got bought out of my contract.
That's what I was wondering. It's definitely something that's like, all right, 7 games, only 7 games. But at the same time, when you see the average, it's like, something happened there.
Yeah, I got straight to it, and I think that was just God's plan and just the universe, and me just being a good person, and just doing right, and he rewarded me with a just a better opportunity to enhance my career, playing where I should have been playing from the jump.
And so before we actually jump to your next spot in Latvia, one of the things that we're not sure if you know this, but this was actually from Fallon. She was wondering, on her team, they only are allowed 1 American per team in their league, but for the men, it's 3. Do you know of why the difference would be? If you know,
then it was 1.
Oh, really?
Then it was 1 on my team. It was 1. It was just me.
Interesting. So that's actually a similarity. Obviously, differences in time, but similarity.
In the female American, her name was Jaleesa Butler. She played at Georgetown.
Interesting.
So we were like best friends. She was on the girls, I was on my apartment was right beside hers.
Interesting. And actually, I guess probably without getting into too much, where was your apartment? This might be something that we'll cut out of the regular pod, but
it was like in this little, I can't even explain it. It was like it wasn't too good. It wasn't.
Yeah, because when we talked with Fallon, she's like, it's a little old, but it's okay. It's enough for me.
Yeah, it was pretty old. I don't even think I had Wi-Fi connection. I had to Jaleesa's apartment did, because obviously she was there from the beginning. I had got there, late, but I was always at her apartment because mine didn't have no Wi-Fi and hers did. So I would just go right next door and be over there all night. So
interesting. So before we turn into a Hamar only podcast, we'll turn it over to Tony for the next one.
Yes, the Hamar Expat Hoops, where we have people that played for Hamar. So let's talk about Latvia. Your time there. I know that is it true that you sat out the 2011-2012 season?
Yes.
What did that look like for you? You trained in DC. What did you do during that time?
Well, I was in the gym every day. See, the thing is, when I went to Latvia, they didn't pay me. So I got paid February. So I was there supposed to be on clock February, March, April, May, June. So it's 5 months. And I was supposed to get a lump sum money. They didn't pay. So my mindset, and then once that happened, then the lockout comes. The NBA lockout hits that summer. So I'm like, I was just in the gym, like as much as I can. So my thing was, it didn't work out with the D League, and I'm over Europe. So, but like I said, I'm 23. Like I'm going off emotion. Like I didn't know like, I can roll the dice again and another team would pay me. No, I had experienced that and I was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to Japan. I went to Japan and I did everything that I was playing well and the coach just was really, really racist. Calling me all types of names and monkeys and all types of stuff. Like he didn't even speak English.
Yeah, that's rough.
And it's sad that I had to it's the first time I'm publicly speaking on that, but it's sad that I had to deal with that, and I stood up for myself. And he didn't like that I stood up for myself, and next thing I know they sent me home. I had played in like 7 exhibition games. I mean, I was like 23-5, like I was playing well, and then they paid me, and then they was just like, all right, here you go.
Man, you had a lot of bad luck at the beginning of your professional
Oh
career.
man, enough to make a person want to fold or quit or do something else. And then I get invited to Bakersfield Jam. Will Voigt was a coach, and I ended up tearing my groin in training camp. So now I'm just home. It's January again. I didn't probably went through another batch of agents, like, and now I'm just stuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is next? So I just worked on my game the entire second half of the season. And my next opportunity, it was Canada, and I was a man on a mission.
With Canada, how did that happen for you? Because when we talked with like Tate, he kind of was talking about how at that point in time, you could almost approach the people, whether it's the coaches or the managers of those teams, and kind of say, hey, I'm looking to get started. Is that something that was similar for you, or was it something that your agent coordinated and found that opportunity for you in Canada?
No, I mean, it was a situation. I had signed with Alvin Bro Dukes. He was with Pro One Sports, and I actually had an offer in Germany, and I had an offer in Israel. And he just was like, Devin, listen, I want to send you back overseas, but you've been through so much, these first 2 years. I just need you to go somewhere and just play. And play well, a full season, just somewhere where you just play well, because I don't want to send you to Israel and they're looking at your resume and it's the first bad games you have, they're going to be on you and they want to send you home, because if you get sent home again, it's not going to be looking too good for you. So I'd rather just send you somewhere and let you be you, so you can show everybody who you are, how you play at this pro level, because you've already shown you just came from Latvia a year ago. We know you can play at a high level. So I took that opportunity. It was the best opportunity for me at the time, and I had an amazing year. And there are still records there still that haven't been broken, and that really helped me, plateau my career.
So much of this, in terms of going overseas and navigating that, seems not only like you have to weather some adversity, but also there's a strategy involved. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it definitely is a strategy.
I mean,
because
go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no. Please, you're the guest.
It's a strategy, because it's like I'm going to these different places, I'm going to these different leagues, and everybody wants something different, and it's just like, okay, Devin, now soul searching time. What are you going to hang your hat on? This is not St. Francis. This is not Riverdale Baptist. This is not Iceland. This is not Latvia. This is not Japan. This is not the D League. This is not Canada. Now you have to. What do you do well? What is your identity as a basketball player? What can you bring to these teams? I had some soul searching to do, and once I figured out, you know what, Devin, you're a vocal leader. You score the basketball, and you're very efficient. Focus on those 3 things, and then once I really got to the root, I never had another issue with any more anything.
So you won the Player of the Year in Canada. You go to Switzerland, and your team has a great deal of success. Tell us about your experience in the Swiss League in 2013, 2014.
Yep. I I got an opportunity to go play for Lugano Tigers, who was one of the one of the best teams in Switzerland. They're kind of like the Lakers of the Swiss basketball league. And I played with Travis Watson, who was a UVA alum, and I ended up doing the same thing in Switzerland that I did in Canada because I kind of figured it out. I figured out what's my strong suit, and I stayed within them realms. Travis got MVP of the league. I led the Swiss league in scoring, and we won a championship. And I will forever remember. You listen. You ain't won. You have experience winning until you win the championship in Europe. It's amazing.
What
It's amazing.
what would you think is what stuck out to you as the biggest thing that was noteworthy about winning that title in a European league?
Well, I would say the biggest thing for me was, I haven't never really told the story, but Lugano signed another player going into the playoffs. His name was Mohamed Abakar, because one of our bigs had went down. One of our bigs had went down for injury. And come in the finals, see, we only could play 4 Americans. And we didn't have a backup point guard at the time, and I played the 2. Now, mind you, I just got top scorer of the whole league. I got voted to sit because our team needed bigs, and I played game 1, I played game 2, I didn't play game 3, 4. I didn't play the rest of the finals. I was in street clothes, and it was the most humbling experience ever. And that's when I realized, like, it's not about you, Devin. It's not about you scoring 21 points and you being the leader. You have a chance to win a championship. You have a chance to make history. And I sat there and I was the biggest cheerleader. And then I realized, yeah, it's politics in this stuff. It's politics in it. But I got my bonus. I got my championship. And, I have no complaints from it now.
So after that particular season, you actually stuck around in the Swiss Basketball League, but for a couple other teams, right?
Yeah. See, when I was after that season, so I'm like, okay, I just ran through Canada, got MVP, set every scoring record in the book. I did the same thing in Switzerland. Now we win the championship. Now in the preseason, we were playing all the Italian teams. We were playing EuroLeague teams. Germany's right there. France is right there. So everyone told me, bro, don't settle in the Swiss league. Like, this is a good league, but Devin, like, you need to be playing, you need to be playing with the guys that make the millions. So Lugano gave me a 2-year, all the top teams, they gave me 2-year deals. And I said no, because I felt like now I'm ready for Italy. Now I'm ready for France. Now I'm ready for Germany. And it just didn't happen. And it got kind of late. And Neuchâtel, which was the 3rd place team at that time, they contacted me and said, hey, our wing that we signed, he broke his hand. We'll pay you 2 months for 1 month. You can come back over here and, get some recent film. And, probably by then, you'll get another, offer deal. And I went there and they paid me and we were 4-0. He didn't play me as many minutes, so my production wasn't 21 a game. It was like 16. But I'm still in the realm of things. I stayed an extra month, and my agent just, it just didn't happen for me for whatever reason. I come back home for a month. Then here we go, January again. So now I'm like, why is this happening to me again? Like, every time I get a little bit of success, anytime, I'm playing well, I'm not getting my big break. Big break. So the Swiss agent contacted me. He said, Devin, listen, I know you're frustrated, but if you sit around at home with this chip on your shoulder, everything that you've accomplished, everything that you've done your first 2 years and what you overcome and everything you've done in year 3 and year 4 is going to go in vain. Just come back and do everything better than what you did the first time around. So I did that and it worked out. And then my next job was the NBA. So I just looked at it like, wow, God's plan. And here's a guy that never played summer league, never went to vet camp, never played EuroLeague. And here I am in the NBA uniform. Extremely thankful.
So Talk to us a little bit more about how you came to be on the NBA radar, at least as you understand it, in terms of how they came to you and said what was appealing to them to give you that opportunity.
Well, like I said, being a good person and, people remembering your name. And so the TBT, I played for Team City of Gods. Joe Conley was our coach. He was a former Wizards assistant. His brother is Tim Conley, who is the president of basketball operations for Denver Nuggets. And his brother, at that time, Tim was assistant player personnel for the Wizards that brought me in for my pre-draft workouts. So I was on a team with 7 former NBA players. You got Pops Misabansu, James Giss, Hamidi Njai, my cousin Mike Sweetney, Xavier Silas, Dave Hawkins, DeMar Johnson, Phil Goss, Omar Strong, Lasan Cromer. We had probably like 6 former, I think, NBA players. So we went all the way to the Final Four and lost the overseas elite. But the catch was I was leading the team in scoring off the bench. See, that wasn't the first time I was playing with guys that were better than me. I had did that at Riverdale with Micah Nolan. So I wasn't out of my realm, not having the ball in my hand or coming off the bench. I just played my role. I went in there, played hard, scored the basketball, was efficient. Tim Connolly, who's Joe's brother, just happened to have a conversation. Like, we had just beat Arenze and them, Syracuse alum. They had Hakeem Ward, Renze, Demetrius Nichols, Terrence Roberts, Devendorf. We had just beat them on ESPN. I had like 17 points. And he was like, what's going on with Devin? Like, he looked like the best player on the floor. And there were 12 guys on that floor that played in that game that make over $1 million. So this guy can play. Like, what's up? And Joe was just like, Devin's just waiting for his right moment, his right break. And next thing I know, a phone call was made. My son was born. They called me at the hospital and they say, Joe called me and say, hey man, the Denver Nuggets want to sign you. Wait, what? He said, I swear, don't say anything. They think, no, he said, really don't say anything. Like, I'm telling you, it's a done deal. He said you probably have a 15 to 20% chance at making the final roster, but they're signing you. Joe, shut up, man. Come on, bro. Come on. Nah, not me. I did not believe it, even when it was time to go to Denver. So I go check into the hotel. They have a limo for me. I get all the way to the hotel. So I'm like, I'm still thinking it's like, this is some workout type stuff. Like, they're probably just going to have a workout and then they're going to select whoever does well. So I asked the lady at the front, like, excuse me, how long is my room for? She said, yeah, your room is reserved for 80 days. Oh, it's happening. And at that moment, man, I promise you, I just was like, man, wow. For me to go through everything that I went through and, to be, my coach to be racist to me and not getting a fair shake in the D League and not getting paid and, really not finding a home and to, feeling like I was just pissing in the wind in Switzerland, and I'm forever grateful. You know what I mean? And I would do those 5 years, those 6 years again to get that opportunity. And I share my story with all these kids out here. And I tell them, man, listen, be a good person, work hard. Because at some point, that hard work is going to meet that one opportunity, that one small window. Somebody's going to give you a chance. And I just I've been living my life, with that same motto ever since.
So you spent about a month with the Denver Nuggets in the preseason that year, played in a few games with them.
Mm-hmm.
Then you went on to Mexico. I point this out specifically, and I wanted to highlight this as well because you're the first guest we've had on the show that's played in Central and South America in their professional leagues.
Yeah,
we've had people that have played in various leagues in Southeast Asia and Europe, but never anybody in Central and South America. So I want to first say, what was your experience like playing for the Halcones Rojos Veracruz? A, and B, Talk to us a little bit how those leagues differed than your playing in terms of X's and O's, in terms of playing style.
Okay.
What was different on the court, and what was different in your experience that you had there in both ways than Europe?
Okay. Well, first thing I think, after leaving the Nuggets, I more so wanted to get a high level Europe job. But I had just had my son, and those leagues down there in South America, they pay. And there's no out clause. Like, there's an out clause. So if I get a better deal, I can just leave. There's no real buyout. So I'm like, dang, here we go. I can go down here and just kind of spread, play a little bit. I didn't want to be home sitting. I'm gonna go down here. I'm on the beach. I'm one of the top teams, and all they signed is former NBA guys. So I was in good hands with Eddie Castellano, who was the Puerto Rican national team coach currently as we speak. So I was in good hands. And one thing I could say about those leagues down there, man, they're tough, physical, hard. Like, like guys play, they compete. They're going to beat you up.
This is actually going to be one of my questions later on. Would you say this was the most physical league that you've been a part of?
Outside the NBA, for sure.
Interesting.
Because I think just from the Mexican culture, because obviously you got 4 or 5 imports, each team, or however, you can afford them. But just that Hispanic, them leagues, man, they go hard. They're playing for, we're just playing for checks, man. They're playing for their lives, you know what I mean? Because it's either that or nothing. They could be out here, Lord knows doing what. You know what I'm saying? So they really get after you. And it taught me a lot too. They're like, yo, they don't care if you play in the NBA or where you coming from, or they gonna get after you. You gotta always be ready. Because I think a lot of guys try to come in with the cool swag, like, oh yeah, I just came played from such and such. And nah, they gonna chew you up, they gonna spit you out. They don't care. And at the end of the day, man, those games are intense. Them fans are intense.
That's the other thing I was going to ask about too, because there's always a unique fan experience in every league. What was that like in Mexico?
Oh man, one game we played. We were on the road. We came after one of the wins. I forget what city it was, and they bust out our windows on the bus going back.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, whoa. They was. Because some of them cities are like kind of like cartel, backyard. So it's a war zone down there. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to be careful, and those fans get intense, man. They really do. So I think that was another eye-opener experience. Like, wow, like it's not like this back home. Like this environment, how could you not want to play? You got guys in the crowd throwing batteries at each other, and you know what I mean? Like this is crazy.
Yeah, we've talked about the Cypriot League and the Serbian League and the Turkish League with the flares and throwing pennies in the court and all that stuff. So
without getting too far ahead, you obviously just came from Greece, which that'll be another thing we'll touch on a little bit here. But so after Mexico, go over to Belgium. Take us through that.
Guys, man. Every single time I get ahead, I had got a Euro Cup offer. Here's the one. This is the one I've been waiting for. This was the job to get me the $1 million, the millions overseas. This was the job that was supposed to, I had it all figured out, man. I go to Charleroi, Spiro Charleroi, playing my very first game against Ostend. We were losing. We were down, probably like down 13-14 early. They just put me in the game. I had 12 points in 8 minutes. So I go baseline. We start bringing the team back, go baseline. I have a hard fall. I knew it was something severe. I ruptured my patella tendon, which is really like a football injury.
That's a bad injury.
And they told me 9 to 12 months.
Ugh.
And I was crushed. I was devastated because this is year 6 now, and I just don't get it. Like, I worked so hard, I persevered, I was so resilient. I got my big break. I just left the NBA, made some good money in South America. Just had my son. Life is amazing. Get a Euro Cup job. Like, supposed to go to Summer League. You know what I mean? I'm supposed to be back on oh, man. That at that point, I could have folded. I really could have folded. It was hard, man. I was so angry. I was so frustrated. But now I'm a dad. So now I have to lead, and this little guy is looking at me as I'm perfect. So I had to dig down and find it. And I was able to return back on the court in 6 months.
Wow.
This is also another interesting point, though, where you're talking about where you could have folded. Just to kind of go into that, the doctor that you had looking after you wasn't exactly some run-of-the-mill doctor, now was he?
And that's what and that's another thing. If that would have happened to me in Mexico, oh man, who knows what would have happened? But it happened to me in Belgium, where they have one of the best medical teams. I mean, I still write Dr. DeClerc to this day. This man is amazing.
And who is Dr. DeClerc, by the way?
Dr. DeClerc is one of the doctors that is on the Olympics committee. He's the national team doctor for the Belgian national soccer team, and they have been one of the the best national teams for the last 10 years in the world. And he told me, he said, Devin, I've done thousands of ACLs in 30 years, but I've counted my hand how many patella tendons I've done. Like, this is a football injury. But we're going to be good. We're going to be good. And I'm thankful for him.
Sorry, I didn't know if you needed a break there.
Yeah, if you need something,
I was gonna say, if you need a break.
So back on the court in 6 months, you're on this is second team now that you're going on to in Belgium. Is that right?
Yeah. See, for whatever, it's crazy how things happen. Based off my performance within that 10 minutes, another team in Belgium was like, look, Devin, we believe in your abilities. We know you can play. I seen what you did in them 10 minutes. I'm signing you, injury and all. I'm like, wait, huh? Wait, for real? I took a little bit of pay cut, but I was like, you know what? I can go back to that league and I can finish. You know what I mean? I can get back to what I love to do. And it's a really high level. And hey, you guys know I'm gonna be back on the court soon. And basically y'all got my insurance and not me.
Did you have anything after that, Andy, that you wanted?
No, actually, I was gonna say next up, I think it was Venezuela, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. The knee took a little bit longer. I think I kind of rushed it a little bit, and I didn't really get going to probably like January. So last 15 games in Belgium, I averaged 19 and 5, shot the ball 45% from 3. So I was back to myself. I got my swag back, and I got an offer. I came home. I did a full 9 months and almost 10 months in Belgium. I got a call to go play in Venezuela, and they paid some good money for me, and I went down there and enjoyed my experience.
I have to ask, I don't know, I know very little about the Venezuelan Professional Basketball League, and I don't know many people that have actually been into the country of Venezuela. So can you detail a little bit about what your experience was like there?
Oh, Venezuela, at that time, the people were fighting against the government. So when I got there, they signed me like the last 2 weeks of regular season.
Yeah, this was 2017, right?
Yeah, 2017. And so when I got there, I mean, the people, they had cut off like government assistant. These people went crazy. I mean, they were fire in the streets. Like, they closed the roads. I'm like, yo, how am I supposed to get to practice? Like, I mean, they shut everything down. Like I had to catch like a motorcycle taxi to get to practice and stuff. And I was just like, whoa, I had never seen this before. Now, I had been to DR, I had played in DR, I played in Mexico, I done played in some other spots. But once I got to Venezuela, man, I really seen it like just from a poverty level, like Jesus, like, you know, like it was so many kids after the games that just hadn't eaten all day. You know what I'm saying? And me and my teammates, we just fed them. I was just like, wow, these people really have nothing down here. And, you know, we complain as athletes, you know, of going to practice and, you know, body being tired. I had played 11 months that year coming off the knee injury, you know, just trying to, you know, get my groove back in, you know what I mean? Make up the money I lost. And I'm like, these people really don't, these kids been out here all day. They don't have no place to go.
Now, were you one of the only? How many? What was? I guess what was the composition of the roster like? Were you one of the only Americans on your team, or were there other people that shared in that experience with you?
Oh no, there was Isaiah Swan was actually my teammate down there and they, you know, a lot of Venezuela, that's a really good league. Like they signed like high level D League guys, high level Europe guys. Nate Robinson, we played Nate Robinson's team in the finals. He was down there playing and they bring guys in late because those fans, they come, they got the direct TV cable deal, and they come. And I mean, that environment was incredible. I mean, incredible.
So you, how long did you spend in Venezuela?
I was there for, I had played what I played 6 games. I think I played 6 games down there. I like rolled my ankle. And then I just kind of stayed like down there until I got the rest of my money, and then I left.
And you
I
went
came
to
home.
you came home and then you went to the French B League, right?
Man, you talk about tired, man. I had went from August 18th 2016 through May 31st, 2017, came home for 2 weeks, spent a month and a half in Venezuela, came home for 3 weeks, then signed. I got my deal August 1st, left August 8th to go to France. I mean, 18 months, I was gone. I think I was home 37 days in a year and a half.
Wow.
But
So
I got a kid now. I got to do what I got to do.
yeah. And I mean, that's also difficult too, because at that point in time, I mean, you're traveling around a lot and he's not with you, right?
He didn't. He actually did come to Belgium.
Oh,
He
did
did.
come to
Yeah,
Belgium.
he did come. He came to Belgium. He was out there for 5 months. Got to take him to the Eiffel Tower. My mom got to come. Took everybody to Germany. Amsterdam was right there. Netherlands. It was a really good experience. You know, that year.
Interesting. So go to France. Next up, you get to come home for a little while with the capital city go-go. Another time, there's a few different directions we can and probably will go with this. So number one, coming back home to play. What was that opportunity like to you?
It's amazing because now I feel like at 30, this was my last window at the NBA. And by this time, it's crazy how the universe works again, because Pops Mensah-Bonsu, who was my teammate for the TBT, as soon as he got the job, called me like, yo, Devin, I think this would be a good opportunity for you. I'm from Southeast Washington, D.C. The arena was probably 8 minutes from where I, you know, grew up. My knee was finally healthy. The Wizards was the only NBA team to bring me in. You know, my rookie year, I had known Tommy Shepard, Ernie Grunfeld, been in the gym with John Wall, Bradley Beal, Otto Porter. Jeff Green was my teammate for DC Assault. So I am about to lock in through this experience. You know, I don't want to have to go back overseas, because I feel like if they play me, I'm going to get a call up. And it was always my dream, play for the Wizards. I don't care if it was a minute, second, just that Sweetney on the back of that DC jersey, that was everything to me. Fortunately, it didn't happen, just due to injuries and just a numbers game. And, you know, it's a lot of different calls and decisions, you know, that were made, that we just, you know, my team was just overloaded. We were too stacked with talent. Stacked with talent. But it was an amazing opportunity where my family got to finally see me play, and not in summer leagues. You know, my son was courtside every game, and and I'm home, finally after, being gone 18 months, after dealing with all these injuries, after not being paid, after coach being racist to me, after not getting a fair shake, after, just feeling like all my efforts and stuff went in vain, just made sense to me. And this is something I always wanted to do.
And there's also a significant period of time between, obviously you've got the actual NBA spliced in the middle, but you can compare the D League from when you first came out to now what is obviously the G League.
Oh man.
Can you compare the differences between the G League at the time of 2017, 2018 that you were there back with your first stint?
It's like night and day. Number one, guys the C contract I think was like $12,000 versus now guys it's 5 months for 35, which is $7,000, which is, it's not bad. Tax, depends on your financial situation. It's not the worst. You got more teams in better cities. You got better travel, better accommodations. And even with the gameplay, it's a lot. It's a lot more physical now with the G League versus how they made certain calls then. And I would say it's more it's more NBA watched now. It's more like you'll see a guy that he'll be a two-way player and he might have 30 in the G League and then he might get called up the next night and he might have 12 with the NBA team. You're like, but that guy he's getting the best of both worlds. He's getting better. He's still getting his reps and he's still learning and growing for the big league as well. They didn't have that option then. It was either you were up, you were down. There was no in between. There was no filter. And I think the G League is definitely heading into the right direction in terms of development and players really getting their due.
Absolutely.
So you go from the capital city go-go and to Uruguay.
Yes.
Which isn't a league that's talked about a lot. Again, just like Venezuela, walk us through your time in Uruguay. What was the league like in terms of play, and what was your time like in terms of off the court?
Well, I took the Uruguay job because it was FIBA. They have this league. It's called Champions League, which is you have Euro League, Euro Cup, VTB, then you got Champions League. It's like the fourth highest level in Europe. They just started it for South America. See, you got teams in Argentina, you got teams in Brazil, got a couple teams in Uruguay, Dominican Republic, and Mexico that have big budgets, that can pay guys 15, 20, 25,000 a month. I got thrown into that realm. So that's why I took that Uruguay job, because it was appeasing to me. I had already, played in the South American, the Latin America community. I was already a household name down there. So I felt like this could only, going in. Now I'm 31, now it's all about, me making my money and, maximizing my opportunities. And that's just something to compete, internationally, regardless if it's Europe or not, still an opportunity to get better and enhance my career.
Was there anything particular noteworthy culturally that you experienced while you were down there you can speak to?
Okay, yes. The fans, once again, they were fighting a lot. They got banned. The fans got banned from coming to the games because they kept fighting. And then they came to the games, outside the games, and they kept fighting. So now what the league did was they minus losses for every single time from certain teams that fans were fighting. So when I got down there and I didn't see, and mind you, this is pre-COVID now. This is November of this time last year, so October last year. So I get to the games and I'm like, yo, where the fans? They're like, yeah, they're suspended for a month. I'm like, what? That happens here too? Like, I seen Dominican Republic, I seen Venezuela. They can't be more crazier than that. Off the hook.
Oh man, so you go from Uruguay getting some of the fan experience, going to Greece, get the fan experience there. What's that like in your experience?
Well, I was happy because finally I'm back to a premier country competition-wise. a lot of those jobs were, I had to kind of do that, because they were offering a lot of money, or I needed to go play and I just didn't want to wait around, and people had bills and other, obligations and stuff like that. But now I'm back in the mix with the $1 million guys again. And then COVID hit. And then they were, because every team in Greece was behind 2 months. Every single team was behind. But the thing about Greece is you normally get it all. You normally get all your money eventually. That's the knock on Greece. That's why guys still go, because it's one of those places, once you play well, you go anywhere. And cha-ching, here comes the money. So for me, that was kind of like a redemption job. Like, I'm playing against the Panathinaikos, the Olympiacos, and the Pauks and the Eris and all these prestige former EuroLeague teams that all you need to do is just play well and just show up, and you'll be fine. So
let me backtrack a little bit though. So craziest game in Greece, and I'll jog your memory a little bit. The story about the Italian ref.
Oh man, that was, man. Listen. Okay, so I'm good friends with Malcolm Delaney, and he played for Barcelona. So Malcolm leaves me tickets, and I finally go. And I know some of the the Panathinaikos players, Tyrese Rice and Bentil, and I knew a couple of those guys that that played on that team. Panathinaikos was up 15 when I got to the game late, second quarter. It was like I walked in, it was like, and that was Rick. I was watching Rick Pitino coach. It was 42-27. I'm probably like 3 rows back from the bench. So, I'm in the mix like, dang, there's 20,000 in here. I can't wait to play in here. I'm going to have 30. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to sign me next year. Man, Barcelona came all the way back. And that referee, they started getting, because, they had Mirotek, Corey Higgins. They had some guys, and a couple of them calls is controversial. And Barcelona ended up winning. And I just was like, the fans were brutal. They were going crazy. And I just couldn't believe it. I was just like, whoa. Because even I wasn't really even supposed to be at the game. Our fans were like, they take that stuff personal. Like, don't go support the other team. Like, even though I was going to see Malcolm, he plays with Barcelona, they still not. So I couldn't like put it on my Instagram or none of that. Like, even if I did, a fan was like, yo, take that down. Our fans we don't like Panathinaikos. Like, take it down, Sweetney. We love you. And so for me to read the next day and see they beat oh man, they put him in the hospital. That's when I realized, I said, whoa, this is next level. This is next level.
That's definitely something that you don't experience in a lot of pro leagues with that kind of stuff happening.
Nah, sure. Man. And it's sad. It gets to that level, and once again, there's no punishment, because it's at the end of the day, it's Greece versus Spain in Athens, and they were up almost 20 points. So Barcelona didn't do a good job and come back. It was the referees. You feel what I'm saying?
Start your narrative. It's like sports talk,
They didn't get 7 stops in a row. It's just the refs blew the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead, Tony.
No, you're good.
I was going to say, we'll shift off a little bit of talking about specific stops that you had overseas. And this doesn't have to be unique to your overseas experience. It might even be the Michael Beasley. Give us a highlight. What's the best trash talk you've ever heard on the court?
Oh man. I was playing with the Nuggets, and we were playing against OKC Thunder. And so me and Kevin Durant, we grew up together. Families are close, and he was my teammate. And so during the timeout, he had came, like, we go in for the huddle. I'll put my hand in the huddle. So I still have my warm-up pants on. He comes and yanks my pants off in front of everybody. People are dying laughing, right? So Russell Westbrook walks by, was like, he ain't gonna get in the game anyway, right? Like that. So they didn't put me in the game yet. So I'm sitting on the floor. I'm sitting at the end of the bench. I'm sitting on the floor. Russ comes down and shoots a 3. I said, nah, he with us. He gonna miss. Like, say something like that, right? So he bricks. So he just looks at me, right? He don't even say anything. He gets to steal the next play and came down and dunked it so hard in the preseason game. And looked at me and said, now what? In front of everybody. And I was just like, yeah, I think I said something to the wrong guy. Oh man, then they put me in the game and I went in there. I shot a 3, man, and the game was over. But I still to this day, man. Me and Eric Green was talking about that not too long ago. We was in the gym, like, man, remember when Russ, man, dunked the basketball and looked in front of the bitch? She was talking to me. Memories, man.
Oh man.
So your time in Greece came to an end, and we were talking about this before the pod. Something significant to you in your current situation. COVID hits. There was an article back in April 2020. The team that you talked about, you played for, still owed you some money.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak to that experience? What's going on there? Update us on if there's been any progress, anything like that.
Well, I mean, I think it was just a simple situation where, I mean, all the teams there was a crisis, and the major sponsor of the league just had taken some losses, and every team was behind. And I knew that, and I understood that. But for me, it wasn't even more so about the money. It was more so the opportunity, because the last 3 games before, the COVID hit, I was averaging 18. I was finally getting in my groove, and them last 7 games, it was against all the big teams, Panathinaikos and Peristeri and Pauk and Eris. We were playing all the heavy hitters on the back stretch. So I wasn't really worried about the money. I knew how they were going to pay me, but it was when the pandemic hit and Trump closed the borders. They wanted us to stay out there to wait. They had suspended the league indefinitely. They wanted me to wait out there. And I was just like, no, you haven't even paid me. So I'm not about to use my own money to pay for my living in Athens when you already owe me thousands of dollars that I've been patient on. I haven't really been, you know what I mean? Because you guys just gave me the keys to the, and I was playing well. But when they ignored me for like two days, so I ended up getting my own flight, and the rest is history. Because at the end of the day, now it's not about money, it's not about basketball, it's about being safe and getting home to my my son and my family. That's what's important, and it's just unfortunate that the tables turned the way they did for that. And they weren't too pleasant about that either. And that's what I couldn't respect. I could respect the conversation, like, hey Devin, I'm gonna get the money to you, or my apologies for that. But it was just so, things were just done so off. And I think when Sportando found out about how poorly we were being treated, they had no choice but to interview. And all my teammates spoke on the same incident. Like, none of us got paid. We had DeAndre Liggins on my team. We had Samardo Samuels, Tariq Duran, Brandon Bowman. We had some guys that can really, that have all played in the NBA at some point, and it's like none of us got our money. And it's just sad. It's sad, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's something that, and obviously this was an extremely unique situation with terms of COVID and suspending an entire league. Yeah. But other people that have been on this podcast before have spoke to the fact that, the checks coming in, they don't come in at a regular interval, shall we say. There's some need to take some time and make sure everything's negotiated, and sometime at the end of the day, your team might not be solvent and all that kind of stuff. So that's another thing that's really unique between American pro leagues and other countries too, in some cases.
Absolutely. See, the thing is, man, it's just like I said, and I stated this earlier, I think when it comes with that, like, the players, we're not protected. Yeah, sure, we have agents and sure we have contracts, but you go sue FIBA, you got to pay for your side and you got to pay for them to take the case. So you got to pay double. You have to pay to get your money. And it might take up to a year, it might take 2 years, it might take 3. And what teams do, they file for bankruptcy, go down to the second division, change the name, come back up to the first division. And they, you know what I'm saying? It's just like the players are just not protected. You know, we work hard. And sometimes, you know, we're not always fully compensated, you know, for our troubles and our, you know, and our workmanship. And it's just an ongoing issue that needs to, you know, really be solved. It needs to be some type of resolution to this.
Absolutely. Kind of looking ahead, we've live in an uncertain time at this point in time, but what's next for you? I know that I've seen some stuff about that you joined the NBA's career crossover program. You've got a property venture, and music obviously prominently displayed, which great logo, but what's next for you?
Well, I'm going back overseas. I'm going back overseas probably within the next couple of weeks. I've been getting offers left and right. It's just, you know, for me, it has to make sense, you know, and that and I'm not going nowhere where I'm not going to get, you know, I'm not going to be compensated for my services. But in terms of the music, it's good to, you know, I wanted to create something that, you know, is mine, that I can focus on what I do well at, and that's working with people, managing things, and making sure things run smoothly. And all COVID did was make me sharpen up my vision and figure out, you know, exactly, you know, life after basketball, because that's something everybody's going to have to deal with.
Yeah, it'll happen one day.
It's going to happen one day. Some days, some guys can play 15, 16 years. Some guys play 2, some guys play 3, some guys play 7, 8. You know, I've been fortunate enough for, you know, to be wanted and still, you know, having money on the table where people can, you know, still want my services and stuff like that, where I'm, you know, I'm still in tip top shape. So I'm going to ride it to the, you know, till there's no more left. But in the process of that, I definitely going to build my management company, build my record label, and continue to, you know, invest in, you know, get in more into like rental properties, homes, and stuff like that. Because I mean, I'll be 33 next Friday, and trying to be an entrepreneur across the board, you know.
Devin Sweetney, thank you for coming on to Expat Hoops today. It's been a great pleasure talking with you, and best of luck in your trek back overseas. As we talked about with the uncertainty of these times, I hope you're able to have a much better experience than you did when COVID first hit, and you're able to play basketball in a quality place.
Yeah, I'm thankful for the opportunity. To you guys, Expat Hoops, for having me, and to, you know, share my journey and share my story with you guys, to, you know, hopefully to motivate and inspire the youth. And you guys have a really amazing show, and I know you guys will do well, and I wish you guys the best in your future endeavors as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a great having you on, and
Oh man,
certainly
it's been a pleasure.
Oh yeah, I mean, we could go on and on, but at some point we have to get you back to your real life.
Yeah.